I guess I'm going to start by saying not very far, especially if interest rates stay where they are or go higher. This year, this fiscal year that just started, we're only a month into the fiscal year for the federal government. They're going to pay probably 1.5 or 1.6 trillion in interest only. We're probably going to run another 2 trillion plus deficit this year. And if interest rates go higher, I mean, we'll be at 2 trillion easily the following year. If you're taking in 4.5 trillion in tax revenues and you're paying 2 trillion out in interest expense, that should answer your question right there. You're at a point where interest expense is 40% of revenue. That's not even, that's completely not sustainable. But I would suspect that you would see the BRICS stepping in and saying, "That's it, we're out. We're not using dollars. Here's your dollars." And I think what you're going to see is a lot of those dollars are going to come back here to the United States and buy stuff up. And those dollars that are being sold by foreign central banks, foreign sovereign wealth funds, a lot of that's going to go into gold and silver because they still want to hold money, but they don't want money that's going to debase. So I would just say you're watching the unsustainability happen right before your eyes. Your alternative to being in the system is getting your capital out of the system into gold, into silver. Those are monies that cannot bankrupt, and in your hand, they can't be bailed in.
Interest on the US debt could reach a staggering $1.6 trillion this year alone, and that's just the beginning. As deficits soar past $2 trillion, nearly half of all tax revenue will be swallowed by interest payments. Bill Holter warns us that this level of debt is unsustainable and could push global powers like the BRICS to ditch the dollar altogether, sending waves of US dollars back home and igniting severe inflation. Those returned dollars would drive foreign wealth into gold and silver as safe havens, while assets like real estate begin to collapse. Is this the tipping point where paper wealth vanishes and real assets surge?
I'm just going to group that into real estate. And with real estate, you're going to see properties get taxed away from owners in this downturn, just like happened in the Great Depression. And that sounds nice, productive farmland. The only problem is if you pay asking price on farmland right now, you're paying well in excess of what the production from that property is going to sustain. So that is a speculative bubble, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. With farmland. The only thing that I do see wrong with it is the price that you have to pay for it right now. I mean, why would you not own gold and silver, which are suppressed and will go through a short squeeze and will revalue much, much higher at the same time that real estate prices are going to collapse? All real estate is going to collapse in value. It was held up. The reason prices are where they are is because credit has been available. Once credit is not available, you're going to see those property values or prices drop like a stone. I mean, just look at commercial real estate. There's your roadmap to farmland, to housing, to you name it in the real estate sector. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to build today, next year, 2026, other than the fact that at some point in time, the economy is going to go down and you will not be able to you're not going to be able to get the supplies to build a house at some point in time. I don't know why, if you have the land ready to build on it, why aren't you building on it now? Yeah, that's speculating. I mean, certainly I think the price of gold and silver are going to be revalued higher versus other stuff. and construction supplies are, other stuff. The one thing I would say is I personally would not start building right now because I wouldn't want to I would not want to be in a situation where I'm a quarter built or half built or 85% built and the system comes down and you're in limbo. You can't do that. I mean, you've got to have your feet on the ground. You need to, uh, not have one foot in, one foot out. You need to have both feet on the ground, and you don't want to be, caught between places, put it that way. Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with that because as soon as now COVID had not hit here in the United States, but I knew that it was, happening in China and and had cases in Toronto. I knew it was going to spread. And my thought process at that point was, they were going to use COVID to take the system down. Um, I was mistaken in that. They basically used COVID, for mail-in ballots and basically a coup, to take over power in the United States. But at that point in time, I told my wife because we lived rural, but it was a rural neighborhood, if you will. It was a gated community. Um, and when you've got 300 houses behind fence, you don't know who friend or foe is. And I told my wife, I said, we need to get out. We need to get out now. Um, so just as COVID started, I bought a very rural, piece of like property that had tons of infrastructure, but everything needed to be repaired. The place was 17 years old, uh, but everything was here. I mean, a pond, two water wells, greenhouses. I mean, the infrastructure was here, but it all needed to be repaired. And my fear was not being able to uh, get supplies. And actually, it turned out, I mentioned I've got two water wells. I wanted to put in a hand pump. I put in solar, but I wanted a hand pump. If we have an EMP, then the panels don't work, and then I'm going to generators. And I'm thinking, I need a hand pump for water. If you don't have water, you're done. And it took me 9 months to get that hand pump. And I mean, everybody was doing the same thing. I bought extra freezers, but they took time, to get here. So yeah, I'm familiar with that thought process. You just go as fast as you can, and you buy things. For instance, I mean, I changed out the air conditioners on, uh, 4 different buildings, and, what I did at that time, and this took about 3 months to procure, but I bought the parts to repair 2 air conditioners. So I have 2 systems ready to go in storage because I figured I could always get labor. I can't always uh, get the parts, get the stuff, um, just because they're not available or what have you. So yeah, I mean, the thought process, you do have some sleepless nights because I was worried that, we got here, so much stuff needed to be done, and we worked at it, really, really hard. It took almost a year to get the whole thing done. And actually, it was it was kind of a blessing to be doing this while everybody else was running around in town, with a bunch of masks on, and uh, I didn't have to see the nonsense. I mean, even just as an aside, even to this day, you still see masks and you still see idiots driving in their car by themselves with a mask on. So, I mean, it kind of was a blessing to be occupied while everybody else was freaked out about something. I had a purpose at that point.
Now you know the hard truths about debt, inflation, and the looming financial crisis. So the next step is crucial. You're going to need to check out this next video on how global economic shifts could impact your wealth even further. Don't miss it. And if you found this valuable, make sure to like, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest insights. See you in the next one.